The latest Rasmussen poll has Meg Whitman, the GOP candidate for governor, with an 8-point lead over Attorney General Jerry Brown. Still, though, there's a long way to go in this election. We talked with the candidate following an event in the City of Industry. Thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. Happy to see you.
This past week, good news for your campaign, the Rasmussen poll, you're 8 points up. Do you think most Californians are paying attention to this race?
I think a lot of Californians are paying attention to this race because this is a really important election, and Californians are hurting. I mean, families are struggling. The unemployment rate is so high. We're the third highest unemployment rate in the country. So I think Californians are paying attention to what's going on because they're going to have to make a very important decision in November. Which candidate has the best toolkit to turn the economy around? And I think it's me, of course.
This past week was the celebration, the commemoration of the 90th anniversary of women getting the right to vote. There was a demonstration in Sacramento of the California Nurses Association, very much opposed to your candidacy and in favor of Jerry Brown's. They once again brought this issue up that you didn't vote in the past, rarely over the past 30 years. Now, I know you've responded saying you should have, you apologize for it. Do you think that issue, though, resonates with rank-and-file voters?
You know, you're right. I have apologized for not voting. I should have. I was not engaged as I should have been. But I tell you, I'm all in now. And I think in many ways the demonstration was a distraction to what the major issue is facing California, which is jobs and the economy and government spending. And it's clear that the Nurses Association and many of the unions have endorsed my opponent because they know I will disrupt and upend the status quo in California, which absolutely has to happen if we're going to put California back on track. So they're against my candidacy, and it's not entirely surprising that's what they're doing.
Jerry Brown is seeking help from the Obama administration, the Obama campaign. The president has endorsed his candidacy. Not a surprise there. What grade would you give the president of the United States in dealing with the economy?
Well, I think he has not done a good job. You know, unemployment now nationwide is at just about 10%, slightly over. The stimulus program appears to not have delivered the jobs that they had promised America. And the jobs that have been created, I think, are now at a cost of over $400,000 a job. So this was not a good investment of American taxpayer money. And what my view is, in the state of California and frankly in the United States, we've got to focus on creating the conditions for small businesses to grow and thrive. We've got to give them certainty to hire. We've got to encourage small business to make a comeback, and that's what I want to do here in California.
You came out and said that you would defend Proposition 8 if you were governor of California at the time it was passed. Explain why.
Well, there's no choice, really. The governor and the attorney general have a constitutional duty to defend the Constitution, to defend the will of the people of California. Regardless of what your point of view is on gay marriage, my belief is that the two most senior leaders in California have to defend that so that it can get a fair hearing through the judicial process. It's not up to the attorney general to decide what he thinks is constitutional and not constitutional. That's not his job. That is the job of the judicial process. And my belief is he needs to defend that so it can get a fair judicial hearing. You
went on the John and Ken show on KFI. Their listenership on that fairly significant talk radio show challenged you on illegal immigration, saying you had changed your position, ran billboards in Latino communities in Spanish, reminding them you were opposed to SB 1070 in Arizona. But those billboards weren't in English elsewhere. Dissuade us of the notion that you moved to the center after the primary in order to capture Latino votes on the issue of illegal immigration.
I have been entirely consistent on my immigration policy from day one. From the earliest days of this campaign, I was very upfront saying I did not support Proposition 187. And when then the Arizona law came into being in Arizona, I said I did not think the Arizona law was right for California because I had a better plan to solve the very significant illegal immigration problem that we have in California. We have to secure the borders. We have to hold employers accountable for only hiring documented workers. We need a temporary guest worker program for our agricultural industry, and we have to eliminate sanctuary cities. So I've been entirely consistent all the way along.
Last question. This has nothing to do with the state of California, but it has captured the attention of the American people, including those here in this state. That is a mosque built near the World Trade Center bombing site in New York City's Manhattan area. What do you think?
I think we have to be very careful about the feelings and the sensitivities of the families of the first responders who died and the families of the victims who were killed in the World Trade Center. There's a lot of real estate in New York. I don't think a mosque or community center with a mosque should be built near Ground Zero. I think there's lots of other places that they can build that.
They have the right to build it, but they shouldn't build it.
That's right. I mean, they own that property, but I think, you know, you have to be very thoughtful about it, and I think they ought to find some other piece of property in New York that is not right at Ground Zero.
Thank you very much for taking the time. We have repeatedly offered Attorney General Jerry Brown a chance to discuss his candidacy on this program. We hope to have him on as a guest soon, possibly next week.